Welcome back everyone to another Weather at a Glance video. In today's forecast, we are going to be going over some potential winter weather that you could be seeing moving into the area within the next 2 weeks. All coming up in just a bit. All right, and on our first slide, we're going to be taking a look at the GFS 12Z latest update. So here you're going to be seeing some of the winter weather that we've been talking about, and this is mainly going to be going over some sleet and snowfall. So here, what you can expect is you can see some of this snowfall in low pressure system development over here off of the Pacific coast, and then we see it move down over the northwest, and then it comes down through the central U.S. and kind of shoves back up north a little bit. Now, that's that jet stream pattern trend that we've been talking about here. And this is going to play a big role in that development, okay? So what you're going to see here is a bit of a dip in the jet stream, and that's going to be taking these low pressure systems. So these lows are going to come down and follow this jet stream, swoop down low, and then they're going to come back up into the northeast. And now this jet stream sometimes will be taking even a further southerly trend, and that's going to be shoving it down through the southeast and moving up along the northeast, possibly bringing a couple of nor'easters. So one or two are possible, but that is kind of the iffy part here. So a lot of this stuff that we were talking about today, do not take it seriously as if it's a forecast, because this is just an outlook in a preparation that we're kind of getting everyone aware of what could be happening. Just a bit of entertainment here, nothing serious, and nothing that you need to be really paying attention to. This is just something, if you're a winter lover, this is something that you could be looking forward to as we have a bit of winter weather moving into the area. So now into the weather part of this. So we see a couple of snowy showers over the mountainous areas, and that's for that mountain snow region here. So here you can see we have a lot of moisture over the mountain areas from the Pacific Ocean, and then we see these low pressure systems come down with that jet stream, and then we see a lot of just scattered shower snowfall and a couple of actual winter storm style low pressure systems that are going to be coming through, bringing those winter storm conditions to some of the areas around Wyoming and Colorado, even into northeastern Utah. So that's going to be bringing a little bit of snowfall and possibly gusty winds as well if you are near the low pressure center. So do keep that in mind. So a lot of snowfall over here in the mountainous regions, and some parts of Washington as well could see up to 100 inches or so, 80 to 100 inches on those really high peaks. So we're not talking about on ground level. We're talking about on those really, really high mountaintops. And that's over the next month or so. So we do see that, and that's something that you should keep in mind here. Now, nobody is going to live on those mountain peaks, so you don't need to worry about 80 to 100 inches coming for you. But the main threat here that we see, winter lovers threat, I should say, this is going to be bringing about a foot or so over the next month to these areas scattered around here, maybe even possibly 2 feet. So this isn't all at once, but this is definitely going to be bringing some snowfall to the areas. Now, something I want you to keep in mind is up here in that winter storm region that we were seeing, we do see a bit of development up here in the north central United States. So we're not really sure where this is going to be, because for the past couple of days, which we will get into here in just a second, we've been seeing some scattered different positions of this low pressure system. So one thing, and mark my word when I say this, is that I do believe that we will see a winter storm somewhere within this region. So we see that first low pressure system come through. It's going to be moving up through Minnesota, possibly bringing some snow showers. Then we see the second system, and the second system that we've been seeing is the trend that it's going to bring a lot of snowfall for somewhere in this region. So today's trend, the latest update as of 12Z, so that is about 8 a.m. this morning, we do see that there is a strong bit of snowfall over Illinois here, and that's looking at 31 inches. Now, do we think 31 inches is going to fall? Of course not, because this is long out, this is very far out, and you have to keep that in mind. But what we do see is that we could see up to a foot of snow somewhere within this region. So that means 12 inches of snowfall is not out of the question within this region, because we do see that strong jet stream pushing these low pressure systems through, and if enough moisture evects from the Gulf, then we could see some of those low pressure systems come through and bring some strong snowfall as that warm air, as that moist air evects into the cold regions up here. That could be leading to some of that feeling of the low pressure systems bringing a lot of snowfall through here. And then obviously you can see that somewhere within this region we will see a good bit of snowfall coming through the area. All right, moving on. Here is the GDPS outlook for the precipitation. So the last one was the GFS forecast model. We're going to kind of mix it up today so you can see as much diversity here so that you can understand that we're not just following one forecast model and going by that. So here you can also see this trend. Low pressure systems come up from the northwest and they swoop back down with that jet stream, and then they move back up through the northeast. So here you can see that we do have a couple stray low pressure systems that move up in the north central United States, bringing a little bit of snowfall there. So that's what we're talking about, is this winter system. Every single forecast model shows some sort of a winter system moving through the north central United States. Now, the intensity of that system, we're not quite sure just yet, but we do see multiple low pressure systems develop down here. And then the confusing part about the GDPS is it's starting to show at the very end of its run snowfall down into Arkansas. Now, it's a bit early in the year for that, so we do not expect that to happen. So here you can understand, you can see that we don't really like to trust the end of the forecast here on the forecast models. So anything far out is not going to be trusted. But what we're going to be doing here, and this is why I'm showing you all of these, is to help you understand that we do have some sort of winter systems coming through here that could bring some snowfall, and that could definitely be leading to some winter's lover's paradise here, because we definitely see that we have a bit of snowfall up here, and we have lots of mountain snow for these mountainous regions over here, and then some potential for a winter storm up here in the northeastern United States, possibly bringing a nor'easter or two for the coastal areas along the northeastern United States. All right, and now moving on to our European forecast model here with the same precipitation outlook. Here you can see that same trend that we've been talking about on here as well. We see that jet stream come up through the northwest, swoop down through the Great Plains, and then it's going to move back up along the northeast coast. So again, that one stray low pressure system that seems to keep popping up in all these forecast models, making its mark. We do see that potential for a winter storm up here. So that is why I'm saying wherever you live, this could be within over here in this portion, this could be up here in northeastern Minnesota and northern Wisconsin, or it could be down here near the Devonport, Illinois area and into Iowa. We could see some of those winter storms. So we have a lot of different regions within that solid region. That's why I put that region. So that doesn't mean if you live in that region, you're going to be expecting whatever's coming through that region. That's just an area where anywhere within that region can expect the possibility of this winter system that comes through. Now, the really hard region to predict is this one over in the northeastern United States. That's why I said that is the least likely to happen. So, very confusing statement there. That is the least likely to happen out of the entire forecast that we're doing today. But the reason I do put it there is because we have the favorable conditions for that. Once this jet stream swoops down far enough over the Gulf of Mexico, and then it shoves back up into the north, that's going to be taking that Gulf moisture and pushing it up into the northeastern United States. And what that does is once that reaches that cold air, low pressure system development will be strong and favorable over Georgia and Alabama, and that will move up through here and go under cyclogenesis, and then we could see a couple of strong nor'easters come through that could bring some windy impacts and, of course, snowfall as well. And then those bands that move behind the nor'easter will be sucked into the nor'easter along Pennsylvania and even up into New York. And that inflow to the low-pressure system will likely lead to a couple other winter effects, such as snowfall, and that's why we put that there as well. So there's snowfall, a possible winter storm, stretching all the way down from the northern portions of the Smoky Mountains, and then we see all the way up through the Appalachian region, all the way up into the northeast. We see that potential region for a winter storm, so that's not out of the question either. All right, now we're getting into the total snowfall here, and this is just to give you an idea. This is the GFS forecast model, latest 12Z update on this total snowfall, and we will be going through a couple other hours as well, just to give you an idea of what this has been doing with the trend lately. So first of all, we obviously see the most likely region to happen here, and this is that snowy mountainous region. And you can see the mountain snow region here. There is all of these areas, all these peaks and mountaintops, we see that mountain snow. So what you can expect here within these regions is a lot of snowfall, especially up in the Washington area. There we go, showing you that mountain snow up in Washington and along these mountains that move through Oregon and California. All of these areas are going to be getting a good bit of snowfall, and we see a couple of strong low pressure systems plunge over Northern California and bring a lot of precipitation with it, whether that be rainfall, sleet, or snowfall, depending on the height and altitude that you're in California. But but you definitely see that we have a very widespread area here within these mountainous regions of snowfall. So anywhere within this region could see snowfall. As we did mention in that news ticker below at the bottom of the video, if you live in that mountainous region, you can expect snowfall to a certain degree. That means if you live in a valley, that's going to be a lot harder for us to forecast for you. So that's why we included the valleys as well, because you could see some possible snowfall, but maybe not as much as well as the top of the mountain peaks, because obviously some of those valleys are warmer than obviously the mountain peaks. So some of these little valleys within here in Idaho and down into Utah and all of those areas and down into Arizona, even into New Mexico, all of these different valleys here definitely have a lot of heat and little to no moist air when you get into the lower altitude. So that could lead to less and less snowfall, leading to maybe even no snowfall throughout the entire next month. And so if you climb a couple hundred feet, you could definitely see some snowfall there. And then when you go down a couple hundred feet down to the valley, then you might see none. So there's a lot of a really strong, different region in here due to that very strong mixing environment over here in the northwestern United States down into the west central United States. So we definitely see that is possible for you not to see any snowfall if you live in that mountain snow region, but most of y'all will see that, and that's why we included it. So as we move into this next region here, we obviously see that around Devonport, Illinois, we see about 31 inches of snowfall, and even up in the northern Minnesota as well, some of those very, very heavy pockets of snowfall, and that is really what we are looking at. That's the biggest part of this forecast right now, because somewhere within here, we are likely to see a foot of snow somewhere within this region. And you will see that as we go through the past couple updates in the last 24 hours, you will see that there are a lot of different areas that can expect this winter storm, but we obviously see the potential for this winter storm to come through. It's almost an 80% that this thing will come through somewhere within this region. It's not going to bring intense impacts, but it will bring a nice bit of snowfall for everybody to enjoy. And of course, you know, there will be risk with that as well. If there's a lot of snowfall, obviously you need to be careful when you're driving, but it mainly will be a good thing for most people, because most people do love snowfall. So if we move into the northeastern region here, you can see that we do have a good bit of snowfall. We have initial snowfall here from that lake effect up here in the northeastern United States where those lake effect regions happen. And then we see a couple scattered showers, not as much as we were originally anticipating. Now, that's the issue here, because these forecast models, when you judge just by a forecast model going way far out, it's not going to give you enough insight. So we don't see that potential as much as we thought we did. So that's why we have to rely fully on the knowledge of meteorology to understand what can go on. So leaving the entire forecast model basis behind here, we're going to be paying attention to one thing and one thing only, this jet stream here. And as we said before, this will be dipping down likely into the southeastern United States over the Gulf, and then it will be moving northeast along the northeast coast due to that typical La Nina pattern that we are still holding on very strongly to. And that will likely take this Gulf moisture, put it up here, where a nice cold front could come and take it over from that low pressure system, and that's going to be causing a lot of snowfall. So nor'easters are not out of the question, especially within the next month or so over November. We do see a couple potential there, and then a winter storm falling behind that because of those strong bands that follow behind the nor'easters. So while a lot of people may question why I'm including that region, because it likely shows no snowfall over the next course of the month, that is simply because I'm not relying on model guidance here. I'm simply relying solely on the fact of meteorology knowledge, and that's really what we're seeing right here with this jet stream, and without any model guidance for this region up here in the north. All right, now we're moving on to the GFS update. This was the 1 a.m. update for November 3rd. And as you can see here, a good bit of snowfall coming through the Minnesota area instead of that Davenport, Illinois area. So you can see here that we have a lot of snowfall plunging down and wrapping around that low pressure system here. And obviously you can see that we do have up to a foot of snowfall potential there. So do keep in mind that that is another region. Like we were saying before, this could bounce around a little bit, but you obviously are seeing that potential for a winter storm here, and that's coming down even into Wisconsin. So make sure that you are paying attention to that. And then, of course, we see those strong effects of the mountain snow over here. Some areas getting a really big pack of a punch over here in the mountainous snow region. And then up in the northeast, we see some of these areas. Now we're starting to see some of that foot of snow as we move throughout the next 384 hours. That shows you that we could see a potential for that snow, so that is even backing my point even further. Though this was an earlier update than the most recent one, so this is less accurate now than the most recent update, this is still proving my point that we could see the potential for that potential winter storm up here in the northeastern United States. All right, and now the last earliest update of the GFS that I'm going to show you is the 7 p.m. update of November 2nd, 2021. And as you can see here, our winter storm that we're paying attention to is now covering Indiana and Ohio. Now, what I do not agree with here is the fact that the low pressure systems will likely not move that far west, as they will likely be moving. The farthest west that they could really move is over Western Virginia and West Virginia and through Pennsylvania. That's about as far west as I'd say they could go with the dip in that jet stream. So that's really, unless we have very strong pockets of snow, snow showers, which is likely never going to be caused by that. We need a cold front to cause something that we just saw. So something like what we just saw with those large snowfall amounts, you need a front and a low pressure system to create something like that. So obviously we could have that stray low pressure system kind of bounce around and maybe swoop down over Michigan and bring that cold front through. But really, this really early update that we saw yesterday at 7 p.m. That is not, we're really not counting that. Now we do see this winter weather that we keep seeing for Minnesota. So Minnesota, you are really in the heart of this forecast, because you seem to have the most consistent trend of snowfall coming for your area. Whether it's 6 inches plus, you definitely see the potential for that, and even up to a foot. So take that with a grain of salt, of course, but do keep that in mind, that we do see the potential for that as well. All right, now this is the GDPS most recent 12Z update today, and this is for the snowfall. And as you can see, we see that mountain snow over the course of the next month. This does not go out as far as the GFS, so this goes out 244 hours, so likely over the next week and a half. But as you can see here, we do see that potential for that accumulating snowfall over Minnesota, like we said before, and then those chances for snowfall over the northeastern United States. So we do see some consistency here between the forecast models. And here again, we have the European forecast model. So this forecast model is usually fairly accurate with snowfall. So we tend to use this one with short-range snowfall forecasts. When we tend to get long-range, then the GFS usually typically does better with those long-range snowfall forecasts. But typically, when you go into short-range, the European model does a lot better. So here we see the western United States getting that mountain snow, as we talked about earlier. And then we see the north-central United States getting that snowfall that we keep looking out for. Not as much, though, but in Minnesota, you definitely see that potential here. And we see up to about 6 inches possible of snowfall. So, again, we say 6 inches, maybe even up to a foot, depending on what forecast model you're trusting and what kind of typical conditions we have with that La Nina pattern. But, again, just judgment on how much moisture we have there. And then we have, in the northeastern United States, very little snowfall. So again, that's one of those regions. This is one of those regions that we are kind of divergent on, because as you can see with the European forecast model, it is saying barely any snowfall. So of course, no winter storm. These are just very small pockets of snowy showers, especially along the lake effect snow area. And then with the other forecast models, such as the GFS and the Canadian GDPS, those are showing you that we could see some snowfall with a possible winter storm that comes through. So we definitely have to keep an eye on this. There's a lot of diverging point of views here, especially with all the different computer models that we're using right now. But typically, we're going to use that meteorology knowledge, and we definitely can expect something to occur up in the northeastern United States within the next month or so throughout November. All right, now into the most important factor that we've been talking about throughout the entire video is the jet stream. This is the 500 millibar wind level. So this is going to show you the wind speeds and the wind direction at the 500 millibar level. So this is about in the middle of the atmosphere where weather does occur. And here you can see that we see this jet stream coming up over through the northwestern United States and going over the southwestern United States, avoiding that area completely, and then it's going to come down into the southeastern United States, and you see how it dips over the Gulf jet stream, or the Gulf of Mexico, and then we see it shove back up north as we were showing you. So now you have this complete and total visual, so you can trust me that on what we were seeing here. And though we are using a forecast model to judge this jet stream, this is your typical jet stream, so this is how we know this is going to happen because of the La Nina pattern. We are fairly certain about, I'd say I'd go for about 90% that this is going to happen because of the typical La Nina pattern. And then we see that jet stream swoop down and, of course, shove it back up north. And with some of those really strong bands over Ohio at the mid-level, probably about 135 knots or about 120 miles per hour. So we definitely do see very strong wind gusts there. And that is really what's going to be fueling these low pressure systems. That's going to be carrying them very strongly up through here. So these low pressure systems are going to sail along that jet stream, especially up through the northeast. And with any southwesterly flowing winds, that will only strengthen the nor'easters that come through, if there are any at all. So definitely do keep that in mind. And then, of course, we will see a good bit of snowfall here if this jet stream does stay consistent, because with those strong jet streams, a lot of low pressure systems will be sailing through the area, and a lot of quick development as well, leading to a fair amount of snowfall within those regions. All right, now into our final slide that we're going to be going over. This is your 2-meter AGL temperature in degrees Fahrenheit. And this is on the GFS forecast model as well. Now, we're not going to be using any other forecast models because I feel like this is fairly common. Most forecast models agree very commonly on the temperature, so we're just going to stick with the GFS for today. But we see those very cold conditions coming from the mountaintops along these mountainous regions here. And then, of course, we see your normal temperatures for the desert conditions dropping down at night because of the low humidity, but nothing too much. We see those warm conditions on the southeastern United States, typically occasionally dipping down below, because as you can see with this, we see a bit of a battle going on here. So we see right through this area of Tennessee and North Carolina, that's going to be where your battle is going to be going on. And what we mean by that is there's going to be a battle between who's going to take over this region. Is it going to be the warm air, or is it going to be the cold air? And they're going to continue to push back and forth and just continue on battling who's going to get the region. Now, what's not going to be battling is this region up here in the northeastern United States, and that's going to be getting colder as we go throughout the region. So you can or as we go throughout the season, sorry. Throughout the next month or so, we could see a very significant drop in temperatures from the 60s that we've been holding on to about the 40s and 30s. So that is a pretty large drop, and that could be even dipping down into the 20s at time. So do keep that in mind. So we see up in the north central United States some of these really cold drops down even into this lower double digits, so we're talking about the teens here, and those could be even temperatures of 15 degrees Fahrenheit all the way down in some areas of northern Minnesota, reaching down into the single digits. So do keep that in mind. That will only even cause some even further snowfall here. So once that moisture moves into the area up here and it backs up into the area of Minnesota, then when that cold air moves through, we will see some of these snowfall impacts that we've been talking about through today as well. Now, as moving back to the mountainous region, we do see some of these really cold mountaintops. This is nothing new for any of y'all who live up in the mountainous regions, because obviously you understand how cold it can get up there. But at some of the peaks of these mountains, we do see temperatures down into the single digits. So do keep that in mind. If you live in even some of these valleys as well, they could get down into the single digits. So do keep that in mind if you live in any of those areas. Cold temperatures are coming, especially into Yellowstone, Wyoming. Single digits are looking to be prominent in that location. All right, I want to thank you all so much for watching today's video. A big thanks to today's sources, Pivotal Weather, where all those forecast models seen in today's video came from. I would ask you to consider subscribing for more U.S. forecasts free of charge, and I would ask you to consider following the Weather at Glance official Facebook page for more inside information and complimentary personal forecasts when you message me on my Facebook page. Again, I want to thank you all for watching, and I will see you in the next video.